and the noise of the world above fades into a deep, resonant silence. The chaos of everyday life disappears, replaced by the gentle hum of water moving around you, the soft crackling of coral, and the distant shimmer of sunlight filtering through layers of blue. For Suzi Scuba, this is not just a hobby or a weekend escape. It is a calling, a way of life, and a mission to share the breathtaking beauty of the underwater world with anyone willing to look. And right now, that journey has brought her to one of the most spectacular diving destinations in the entire Caribbean, the island of Curacao. Curacao sits in the southern Caribbean Sea, just off the northern coast of Venezuela, and it is part of what is known as the ABC Islands, alongside Aruba and Bonaire. Unlike many Caribbean destinations that have suffered significant coral reef damage over the decades, Curacao has managed to preserve much of its marine ecosystem in remarkable condition. The waters here are warm, clear, and teeming with life, making it a paradise for divers of every experience level. Whether you are a seasoned underwater explorer or someone just beginning to discover the joys of scuba diving, Curacao offers something truly extraordinary. Suzi's first dive in Curacao begins at a site called Tugboat, one of the island's most beloved and frequently visited underwater locations. The name says it all. Resting on the sandy bottom at a depth of around 18 feet is a small weathered tugboat that has long since been claimed by the sea. Coral has grown over every surface, soft fans sway in the gentle current, and schools of fish dart in and out of the rusted hull as if they have always belonged there. It is the kind of scene that reminds you why people fall in love with diving in the first place. The visibility at Tugboat is extraordinary, stretching well beyond 100 feet in every direction. Suzi glides effortlessly through the water, her movements slow and deliberate, taking in every detail. A large green moray eel peers out from beneath the bow, its jaw slowly opening and closing in that characteristic way that looks threatening, but is simply how they breathe. Nearby, a pair of spotted eagle rays cruise past with the kind of effortless grace that makes you feel like you are watching something from a nature documentary. The colors here are vivid and alive, oranges and purples and yellows bursting from every surface of the reef. From Tugboat, Suzi makes her way to one of the more adventurous dives on her itinerary, a trip out to Klein Curacao, which translates to Little Curacao. This small, uninhabited island sits about 15 miles off the southeastern tip of the main island, and getting there requires a boat ride of roughly 90 minutes. But the journey is absolutely worth every minute. The waters surrounding Klein Curacao are some of the most pristine in the entire region, largely because the island sees far fewer visitors than the main coastline. The dive sites around Klein Curacao are defined by dramatic drop-offs, where the reef wall plunges from shallow coral gardens down into the deep blue abyss. Suzi descends along one of these walls, her eyes scanning the surface of the coral for the creatures that make their homes in the crevices and overhangs. A hawksbill sea turtle drifts past, completely unbothered by her presence, its ancient eyes calm and unhurried. Nurse sharks rest on the sandy ledges below, their bodies still except for the slow rhythm of their gills. The sheer scale of the wall is humbling, a reminder of just how vast and deep the ocean truly is. One of the things that makes Curacao genuinely unique among Caribbean diving destinations is the accessibility of its shore dives. Unlike many islands where you need a boat to reach the best reefs, Curacao has dozens of sites that can be accessed directly from the beach. This means that divers have an incredible amount of freedom to explore at their own pace, without the constraints of a boat schedule or a guided group. Suzi takes full advantage of this on her third day, gearing up at a quiet stretch of coastline on the western side of the island, and simply walking into the water. Within minutes, she is surrounded by reef. The coral here is dense and varied, with massive brain corals sitting alongside delicate sea fans and towering pillar corals that rise from the bottom like ancient columns. A school of blue tang moves through the water in perfect synchrony, their electric blue bodies catching the light in a way that seems almost unreal. Beneath a ledge, a Caribbean reef octopus changes color and texture in real time, its skin rippling with patterns that shift from sandy brown to deep red in the span of a heartbeat. As the sun sets over Curacao and the sky turns shades of deep orange and violet, Suzi prepares for what many experienced divers consider the most thrilling kind of dive there is, a night dive. The reef transforms completely after dark. Creatures that hide during the day emerge to feed, and the entire ecosystem shifts into a different mode. Armed with a powerful dive torch, Suzi slips beneath the surface and enters a world that feels entirely different from the one she explored just hours before. The beam of her torch cuts through the darkness and illuminates a reef that is buzzing with activity. Lobsters march across the sand with surprising confidence, their antennae waving in all directions. A spotted moray eel hunts along the base of the coral, moving with fluid precision. Parrotfish, which spend their days grazing on algae, are now cocooned in transparent mucus bubbles they secrete around themselves as a form of protection while they sleep. It is one of the strangest and most fascinating things Suzi has ever seen, and she hovers in the water for a long moment just watching, completely absorbed. Curaçao's underwater beauty does not exist by accident. The island has made a conscious and sustained effort to protect its marine environment, and that commitment is visible in the health of the reefs. Local dive operators work closely with conservation organizations to monitor reef conditions, manage visitor impact, and educate divers about responsible behavior underwater. Mooring buoys have been installed at popular sites to prevent anchor damage, and there are strict regulations about what can and cannot be touched or removed from the water. Suzi speaks with one of the local dive guides, a woman who has been diving these waters for over 20 years. She talks about the changes she has witnessed, the storms that have come and gone, the slow recovery of certain coral species, and the ongoing challenges posed by warming ocean temperatures. But she also talks about hope, about the resilience of the reef, and the growing community of people who are dedicated to protecting it. It is a conversation that stays with Suzi long after she has left the water. By the time Suzi surfaces from her final dive of the trip, she has logged more than a dozen dives across some of the most varied and spectacular underwater terrain she has ever encountered. From the shallow, colorful gardens of the shore, dives to the dramatic walls of Klein Curacao. From the eerie beauty of the night dive to the quiet magic of watching a sea turtle drift past in open water. Every moment has been a reminder of why the ocean deserves to be explored, celebrated, and protected. Curacao is not just a destination. It is an experience that changes the way you see the world. The reef here is alive in a way that feels urgent and precious, a living system that has survived centuries and continues to thrive because people have chosen to care for it. For Suzi Scuba, this trip has been more than just another dive adventure. It has been a reaffirmation of everything she believes about the ocean, its power, its beauty, and its absolute necessity. If you have ever thought about strapping on a tank and descending into the blue, Curacao is where that journey should begin.